Muted.
Recording? Yes, it is. Hold on. Yes, I see at the bottom.
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
That's what the issue was. Welcome everybody. I don't think anybody could have heard our little chatter before. We were having a little bit of trouble understanding the technical ins and outs. We've done this many times, and it's like we've never done it before. It's like Canadians driving in winter for the very first time. Winter comes every year, but we always forget that we know how to do it. So we're all here. You're all seeing my screen. And we are recording this, and we want to thank everybody for being here, for taking the time out of their day to learn more about how to turn seminars into assets and really be effective. This is a really, really important prospecting activity, and we want all of our attendees to be able to take advantage of this. So after working with 1,000 advisors and seeing how much time, energy, and money have been invested in seminars with little to no results for the vast majority of them, Kira and I just couldn't sit by anymore without creating a program to support you in becoming effective in this prospecting activity, which, by the way, is one of the top 3 ways to build your business. Our goal today is to have you walk away with a ton of value. So get your pens and notepaper ready. This is going to be a jam-packed session, and we are recording it, as we mentioned before. So you've got the 2 of us on the webinar today. I'm Willa.
And I'm Kira. And we're going to be telling you a bit more about ourselves in a couple of minutes. But first, here's what you're going to be getting in our webinar today. So there are 3 major elements that need to be present in order for your seminars to produce results. Element number 1, marketing. So you must learn how to design marketing communications that fill your rooms. And for a seminar, this is a particular kind of thing that you have to achieve. Invitations that speak specifically to your target market, high net worth individuals, that address their concerns and even their fears, so the things that keep them up at night. Marketing a seminar includes everything from the invitations to all your follow-up activities that guarantee you're going to have bums in seats. Element number 2, being effective at the front of the room. So, and this is not only your presentation skills, but equally as important, how to make meaningful offers from the front of the room that have your attendees inspired to take action. So we know that there's a significant amount of work involved in putting on a seminar. So it's critical that you don't waste all the time and resources in the preparation, the marketing, and all that kind of thing, only to not make effective offers. So that's a big part of what we're going to share with you today as well. And element number 3, generating qualified leads. That's the money, right? Money's in the follow-up. So we want to show you some important information during the seminar, as well as when you follow up and how you can generate those qualified leads.
So for this particular webinar, we're going to be focusing and going really deep on how to fill the seats, which is really one of the biggest challenges. If we've got no one in the room, our seminar isn't going anywhere. You're going to be learning the quickest, easiest, and most cost-effective ways to attract ideal clients to all your seminars. But first, I want to take a moment and introduce myself. So who am I, and why do I believe that I have the skill set to be able to teach this type of stuff? So some of you know me if you've worked with me at Dominion Securities or at Waterhouse, but many of you don't. So I'm just going to take a moment and let you know a little bit more about Willa. So I've been in sales for over 30 years. And in 1999, I was hired to create and facilitate a small sales workshop for CIBC. For my American or our American counterparts on our call today, CIBC is a major Canadian bank. I had a team that I created to facilitate and deliver this small workshop coast to coast. And at one point, my VP and I sat down and we had a conversation of what coaching was. We didn't really know a lot about it. It was in its infancy in Canada in 1999. And so after the conversations, we had a sneaking suspicion that it could add value to our workshop. I will always be grateful to Lori Valerie, my VP, who said, Willa, go get yourself trained as a coach. Well, I found my passion. I went to Coaches Training Institute and never looked back. So now I've combined both things that I truly love, which is sales and coaching, and I hung my shingle out in 2000. I made every mistake an entrepreneur can make. I didn't scale back my lifestyle because I had a great track record in sales, and I thought, "Phew, this is going to be a slam dunk." I knew it would be hard, but like most entrepreneurs, I had no idea how hard this was going to be and what I was actually getting into. Year one, I made $3,600. Because I didn't scale back my lifestyle, I eroded most of my life savings. Year two, made $3,600 and took a mortgage out on my mortgage-free home. Year three, went back to the last company I worked at and I got a merchandising job. For $14 an hour, I was hired by Adams Gum to stock their product on the shelves of Walmart. And I'll tell you, I was really grateful for that. It got me through my third year. Year four, my coaching practice started to support me. Fast forward to 2007 when I made the cold call to Ron Cote at RBC Dominion Securities. And the rest is history. I now work almost exclusively with advisors. I stopped counting at over 1,000 advisors. I worked with all the new hires at Dominion Securities for over 6 months, for over 6 years, and I've been working with all the new hires at TD Waterhouse, all their advisors, for the past 5 years. So Kira, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Sure, I'd love to. Well, that's me. My whole life has been about voice and communication in some way or another. As a child, I was really curious and excited about everything. I'm just a really expressive gal. So my early report cards used to say, Kira is bright and enthusiastic, but she tends to chatter and distract the other students. Yeah, I always loved to connect with people, so no surprise that I went into the arts. I went to school for jazz and trained as an actor. I loved music and acting and connecting with the audience. That's me singing on stage with a big band, and I was a professional jazz singer for about 20 years, actually. And I discovered that I had a business head, too. It's kind of in the blood for my family. My dad's a successful entrepreneur, so I've seen what it looks like to build a company from nothing, sweat things out for a number of years, and finally build success. And as a band leader, I was also in management. I negotiated with jazz festivals, club owners, event planners, radio stations, and countless individual clients. And I hired, organized, rehearsed with, and paid musicians. And about 13 years ago, I was told about a training firm that wanted people with a combination of creative, business, and leading skills. So I started working for them as a coach. And I went back to school for foundations in teaching and training, and I've never looked back either. I love this work with a passion because I get to use all of me. So what makes my approach unique is, in fact, my performing arts background, because clients get to practice their sales conversations and their presentations with me in a safe environment. Over the years, I've coached more than 5,000 financial professionals from these and many other firms on how to make more money by mastering your sales conversation skills. And I started my own company, Conversation Gym, 3 years ago. In the first year, you know, just like Willow was relating and all of us as business owners can relate to, I made tons of mistakes. Being a great coach does not immediately translate into being a successful entrepreneur. But, you know, you learn and you learn and you learn, and my business has really taken off. So the cornerstone of everything I do has been about making an emotional connection. As you know, this is a competitive industry. It's not enough to have a good financial plan. People buy on emotion and justify with logic. So I show my clients how to reach people on a gut level, and that translates immediately into more business, and that's what I bring to you today. So I'm really glad to be here.
And before we jump in, I'd like to get a sense of where we all are with regards to conducting seminars. I'm going to launch a little poll here. Where are my polls? And so on the screen, you're going to be, there we go, I've launched the poll. If everyone wants to just take a moment and just indicate who's currently conducting seminars, who's done them in the past but no longer conducting them, and who's never done them but really wants to start. Ooh, we've got, our numbers are coming in. They vary a little bit until the hard numbers come in, but we've got a few of them. 17% are currently conducting, 50% have done them in the past but no longer doing them, and about 30% of you have done them, or sorry, have never done them but really want to start. So this is absolutely perfect. You are all in the right place. And there's an important principle that we need to address before we start on creating effective communication. It's the difference between training and selling from the front of the room. In a training, the only goal is to educate. You've all taken extensive training to acquire your license. There's only one agenda in those sessions, and it's to educate. Selling from the front of the room, or education-based marketing, has two agendas. First, to add value, and equally as important, to generate sales. When we talk about selling from the front of the room, we don't mean those sleazy, slimy sales pitches. You know the ones that for today only, if you buy our program at regular $3,000, it's regular $3,000, but today, only today, we're going to sell it to you not for $2,000, not even for $1,000, but if you act now, I'll give you the course for $500 and throw in this amazing slicer dicer at no extra cost. You know you've been there, you've been at the receiving end of those real estate sales pitches at the front of the room. No one wants to be at the receiving end of that. And there is a way to actually sell effectively from the front of the room without being slimy. And what we know from working with so many advisors is that at seminars, your intention is to add value, to give your attendees some rich information. But in essence, those types of seminars are actually training sessions. This is the biggest mistake we see advisors making. There's a belief that if you just wow them with your brilliance at the front of the room, they will most certainly want to have further conversations with you. But that's not necessarily so. For those of you who've been failing to transition attendees into clients, you're fully experiencing this.
So what is missing is a balance between value and making effective offers that your attendees would like to take you up on. So you've got to have at least two genuine, sincere offers. But of course, you're going to balance that with some really great information that maybe surprised them, or a new insight into your take on a particular strategy. So we're not saying you can't educate. There's got to be some value, some honest-to-goodness value in the presentation, but it has to be balanced with a couple of sincere offers. And I just want to say right off the bat, because, and I know Willa will back me up on this, we've both coached so many financial advisors, that an ideal offer is not, call me if you would like a second opinion. We hear advisors say that a lot of the time, and it's not effective. On the receiving end, I have to say, it's blah. It does nothing to really kind of make me fired up to sit down for an appointment. So that's not what we're talking about when we talk about a good offer. So that brings us to element number one, which we mentioned in the introduction, and that is marketing. So we want your prospective clients to get excited, even hungry to attend your seminar. With this in mind, your marketing communication must make reference to your offers. And the process for creating effective communication, and it is a process, we call the golden marketing triangle.
So let's walk through this together. First, you have to be crystal clear as to what specific problem you're solving. When I ask my clients what their goal is for their attendees, they usually say, well, I want them to get to know me. Well, that's your goal. None of your attendees are coming to find out about you. They're coming because they are hoping to get something for themselves. If you want to attract people to your seminar, you have to offer them a solution to one of their biggest problems. By far, the most thought-provoking question I put to my clients is, what specific problem do you want to address, such that your attendees will walk away saying, gee, was that ever a great investment of my time? Most of my clients have never given any thought to this. So your first takeaway from this webinar is to identify that. What specific problem would you like to solve? And we're going to be giving you some really great examples a little later on. Once you identify the specific problem you're trying to address, let me back up a little bit. Once you identify the specific problem you're addressing, then we need to craft a compelling invitation. So we have to ask ourselves, who exactly is experiencing the problem?
Now, here's a critical tip. If you market to everyone, actually, you're marketing to no one. So I want to use me as a prime example.
Hold on, Kira. Hold on, Kira. I was having some, I've dropped something, so let me just go back over here. So if you're marketing to everyone, you're actually marketing to no one. I do apologize, everyone.
Sorry, a little technical glitch there, folks. So I want to use me as a prime example for you. If I got an invitation, like we all get lots in our mailbox, in our email inbox, we get offers all the time, right? So if I got an invitation to attend a seminar in the mail that was geared towards, you know, just anyone and everyone, frankly, I would chuck it. Like, I have to share this with you because I think it's so funny. I think I've stopped opening the envelopes, but quite often I'll get an envelope that's addressed to the occupant. Because I have a suite that I rent. I don't own. Do you think I ever open up those envelopes anymore? No, of course not. I mean, you just can't get more generic than that, right? So yeah, same thing for a seminar that was addressed to seemingly everyone. Now, if it was geared towards women, I'd glance at it. And if it was geared toward coaches, I might be a little bit more interested. I might read a line or two. Now, here's how narrow we're talking. If it was geared towards women coaches over 40 years old, that's it. It's talking to me. And I would most likely read the whole thing. So you see where we're coming from here. It's actually a little bit intimate. And I don't mean romantic, but it's talking to me personally. So when you are putting some thought into who you want to attract, it's really critical to take the time to narrow down your audience. And believe me, we have been there, done that. And I've spoken with many advisors who say, well, everyone can use my services, or even all high net worth people. That's not narrow enough. So we're going to challenge you to be as specific a niche as you possibly can. This is what ties the golden triangle together. So your invitation must be personal. It's actually the most important element in creating invitations that fill seats. So once you have the marketing triangle defined for your seminar, now you can create an invitation that grabs their attention. Yeah, we love this slide. So we're going to call that really effective invitation your grabber.
In the grabber invitation, the top third of the invitation will identify who you're talking to. The middle third refers to the pain that they're experiencing, their specific problem. The bottom third is a solution, which is, by the way, attending your seminar. So I'm
Willa, before you give examples, I actually want to encourage everybody, because this is really the winning formula right here, right in front of you. If you haven't written this down, we highly recommend write this down so that you get like the real estate, what the real estate on your invitation should look like. Top third, the invitation identifies who you're talking to. Middle third, the specific pain that that audience is experiencing. And the bottom third is the solution, which is your seminar. Thanks, Willa.
Not at all. So I'm going to go over some really great grabber invitations that we've created for some of our clients. So the title that really will grab people, 3 massive mistakes even smart business owners make to keep them worried about retirement. Or 3 dangerous trends that keep women or couples near retirement in the dark about all the fees they pay. For today, we're going to be working with the grabber title, 3 biggest reasons women over 50 don't find value in financial planning seminars. So if we do that and we put that in the top third, so now if I'm a woman over 50 and I've been to some of these financial planning seminars, and I'm certain some of your clients have been or prospects have been, and I walk away going, wow, that was just an hour-long sales pitch, this is now addressing it. You're talking to me. I'm going, yes, I've been there, done that. You're talking to me, and I feel that I understand that this is an issue. So the middle third is the pain that they're experiencing, their specific problem. Listening to too many product pitches, too many generic graphs and charts on market performance without connecting the information to your specific situation, and leaving with no real, tangible, actionable takeaways. Now, I'm going to tell you, you now are talking to me. I'm reading this invitation. You've addressed what I've been thinking about all this time. So the bottom is a solution. At this seminar, you're going to leave with a 4-step process that will give you the foundation to creating your own customized financial plan.
So we encourage you, by the way, to steal from us. So during the webinar today, write down some of those great grabbers because it is a bit of an art to create those. It doesn't happen just like that. These are things that we've worked on and crafted over the years. And so something else that's really important, and you may be kind of saying this to yourself right now, and that is, well, what about compliance? What about compliance? So we are fully aware of the challenges you all face regards to compliance, and we've got some great news. At the end of the webinar, we're going to make available a grabber that has been approved by 3 bank-owned firms. So we do know this format can pass compliance, and that'll be a load off, I'm sure, if you're interested, that's one thing, it's one hoop that you don't have to jump through.
And it does take time to go through compliance, but it's well worth it, rest assured. I know some of my clients are waiting a month to get their invitations back, but it's well worth it. And if you use our formula, it will attract a lot more attention. And to that point, one of my clients who had not conducted seminars in many years and decided to have one last spring. He sent out the standard invitation the firm creates to 250 high net worth homes. Those glossy, expensive invitations that cost him a fortune. They produced 0 response.
Ouch.
Yes. He then adopted the grabber layout, sent it out to the same 250 people, went on vacation, and came back to 5 registrations. We know it works. So now you've got a killer invitation. Are you done? No way. We're just starting the process. The next portion of marketing is the follow-up activities that guarantee you will fill your seats. And we call that our touch point strategy. This part requires work. There's no easy formula here. I wish there was some magic bullet that Kira and I could give you that would just fill your seats and make everything wonderful. It requires work, as in all prospecting activities. So now with the touch point strategy, the idea is that the more often you touch your invitees, the more likely they are to attend. Or the big bonus is even set up a meeting with you prior to the seminar. So we've got 5 touch points in this strategy. So I hope you're taking a lot of notes. Don't worry, we are recording this. Touch point number 1 is the invitation. This is an amazing marketing strategy that really works. It has been tested, tried, and true. So please take this on. And it's because this teases your audience. It generates curiosity. When you design your invitation, be sure to omit the location of your seminar so that they're going to need some additional information if they want to attend.
I love that tip. Touch point number 2, the follow-up phone calls. So there are 2 categories of invitations that you send out, those on the do not call list and those who are not. So of course, send as many as you can to the ones on the do not call list because you can't call them. So that's just a mass mail drop, and statistically speaking, you should get about 0.5% return. For the other lists, you want to make sure that the list is no more than 500 because this is the labor-intensive list, right? It must be manageable. You're going to be making follow-up calls to each one of them. And that is a lot of phone calls. I know it can be intimidating.
And for those of you who just started sweating about making 500 phone calls, don't worry, just look into our program, Effective Phone Techniques. When you register, we track where our participants are with managing call reluctance, having introductions that they're comfortable with, and produce results, and dealing with the frustration of hearing a lot of no's. At the end of our program, on average, our participants rank themselves, at the start of the program, our participants typically rank themselves 3 out of 10 in those areas, and at the end, they're 8+.
So fear not. Now, for those, that's right, exactly. For those of you with the luxury of time, and that means advisors in their first few years, right? So you're doing a lot more prospecting than you are serving because you're building your business. So we would highly recommend that you just bite the bullet and work the phones. We have many stories from our clients telling us that they set up meetings from those calls. Really, a seminar that you're putting on is also just a wonderful excuse to be reaching out and making those phone calls. Now, for those of you with a larger practice and less available time, we would suggest that you hire a marketing assistant for this. Now, this may not be an easy thing to accomplish. Many firms do have very strict hiring practices. You might have to go through an extensive HR process. But again, we assure you it is worth your while. And also, I will just say that once you decide that you're going to be getting into seminars, it's really the first time that you do it and you work hard on getting it right that is the most labor intensive. The second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, and on it goes, you have your systems created, you have compliant grabbers, you've now got an amazing marketing assistant and whatnot. So it may feel like a bit of a mini mountain the first time around, but just know that it gets easier and easier the more you do it. So it is worth your while to go through that process and get a great marketing assistant.
And I've got an amazing story with regards to that. One of my clients, this is a $2 million revenue producer. We're going to call him Mr. J. He built his whole business, by the way, on seminars, so we do know they work. He typically puts full page ads in national newspapers and does massive mail drops. His specific audience was retirees, and he would really get 100 to 150 attendees out of the seminar. And I know all of you are thinking, how the heck does he do that? It's extraordinary results, 150 people out there. However, it was costing him upwards of $10,000 per seminar because he was also including food. He was feeding them. When he hired me, I asked him how big his database was.
Wait, I got to just stop, Willa. I'm sorry. Every time I hear you tell me, that's like, it's staggering. Really, it's almost like producing a wedding.
Yeah.
Like 100 to 150 attendees and feeding them all. That's like a wedding-sized event.
It is. Now, he's a $2 million revenue guy, so it's not a huge financial hardship for him. However,
No. Point being, though, is like, is it effective? Is his approach effective?
Yeah, that was the issue. So when he hired me, I'll go back to that. When he hired me, I asked him how big his database was. Anybody who knows me knows that I'm a maniac about the database. Your database is your gold, your absolute gold. The bigger your database, the more successful you're going to be. So the only database he had was his own follow-up pipeline. Yikes. We discussed the possibility of changing his strategy and hiring a marketing assistant to work the phones and generate a database of people interested in attending his seminars. He jumped through all the necessary hoops at the firm. He's with one of the largest firm in Canada. Anyone from Canada knows who that is and how difficult it is to hire someone. And he jumped through all the hoops. And now he's had assistant on board since January. And his assistant is on average generating 3 to 5 qualified leads every day that they're adding to the database, people who are interested in attending seminars, and now he's well on the way to creating a marketing database. With this new strategy in place, his first concern was that he only got 10 attendees at his first seminar. Now, we shifted his focus from retirees to business owners. That was something that he was looking at doing. And we know that his old seminar strategy, he did indeed get 100 attendees, but he was no longer generating meetings with those retirees. Most of the attendees were not qualified, or they were there for the food, especially when you're dealing with retirees. We've got nothing better to do on a Wednesday morning, Martha. Let's go to the seminar and let's see, they're serving breakfast. Now, although his attendees went way down to 10, he scheduled I believe it was three formal meetings with highly qualified prospects at the end of that very first seminar within days. The big bonus is that he's now creating a database of qualified prospects who are interested in attending his seminars. On the introductory call, he asked permission to send them the information via email. That's another huge tip I'm going to give you. You let them know that I send my invitations vis-a-vis email, and you can save it's saving the environment, it's a lot more efficient. And if they give you your email address, you are now creating a permission-based email database. Incredibly important. Once it's built, all they'll have to do in the future is hit the send button, utilize the touchpoint strategy to fill the seats, and save $10,000. The delightful outcome of hiring his marketing assistant is that we have now put an additional strategy in place and that has generated 29 meetings in the last 3 months, many of whom didn't even want to attend the seminar. So some of you are wondering, how much will this cost you to hire a marketing assistant? On average, a marketing assistant will cost $14 an hour. So for the same $10,000 my client, Mr. J, was spending to feed 150 retirees, you can hire a marketing assistant or a cold caller for 4 months. So how do you find these marketing assistants? Well, you can find them at most colleges or universities, and believe it or not, on Kijiji.
And folks, we know that you're busy, and every piece of getting this seminar off the ground takes time. So we have another gift for you. For those of you who like the idea of hiring a marketing assistant, we're going to share an ad that our clients are using to find great assistants, including Mr. J, that was approved by 2 bank-owned firms. So we're going to share that with you at the end of the call. The ad is asking for an intern, but you can easily convert it to a paid position. So that's just one less element that you have to build from scratch. There's no reason to reinvent the wheel. So that brings us to touch point number 3. Once they register, now you forward the location. So you've successfully gotten them excited enough to sign up. The registration process will ask for their email, and now you can send them a confirmation, including the location. Touch point number 4. Phone call to registrants. So registrants, I'm underlining this because there's a difference between calling to get people to attend and calling registrants. So the goal here is to get them engaged enough to increase the odds of them showing up. Now, I'm just imagining, because I know this has happened to certainly every one of the clients I've ever worked with, that sometimes people say yes to an appointment and then they don't show. Are you shocked? No, probably not. This happened to everybody. So there is a process.
Because I have a statistic on that, Kira. Hold on just a moment.
Oh, tell me.
Typically, 30% of registrants show up. So if you're worried that people are not, that you get 100 people registering or 10 people registering and 3 show up, I want you to know that that is the statistic. Many times we get higher registrations or higher attendance if you follow our touchpoint strategy, but on average it's 30%.
That's right. So it's a totally valid concern that you have, right? And one of the strategies, and this is right here that we're sharing with you, is, well, we like to call it holding the sale. So, you know, if you think about how you feel or how any of us feel when we, let's say we have a plan to, you know, get fit or lose some weight or you name it, just improve, you know, X habit, just fill in the blank there. This is human nature. And it's the same for your prospects, right? When they first hear about something, there is an initial rush of excitement, interest. If you've managed to do that with the grabber, then that's what they're riding on, is that initial emotion, right? So, but like anyone who's ever tried to do any of those other things, like fitness or quit smoking or you know what, that initial excitement fades. So part of you increasing your closing rate to get more people to show up is to know that ahead of time and put the touch points in place that are going to help to manage that. And so touch point number 4, which is following, like actually calling the people who signed up, is a big piece of managing that emotional roller coaster that they go on and getting more people to show up. So here's what it looks like. When you get on the phone with them, ask them, what would you like to get out of attending the seminar? This is a vitally important touch point. So it's going to have you connect with them and increase the likelihood of them showing up because they're really interested. That potential touch makes them more emotionally invested. So once you ask them what they would like to get out of the seminar, there are 2 possible responses. First one is that they give you a specific, well, I'd like to get information on X. So if the content is already in your seminar, fabulous, let them know, hey, that's a great thing that you want to learn about. Yes, we cover it significantly in the seminar. You're going to get some great strategies. And because of our limited time, I want to put some additional information about that in an envelope for you. I'm going to do that. Let me just make a note right now. I'm going to do that and place it in an envelope at the back of the room. So this is a powerful personal touch. Now, I'll just speak personally. When somebody has done that for me, and I know that there's an envelope with my name on it in the back of the room, I'm a lot more likely to show up. Now, a number of our advisors have also asked, wait, what if the thing that they bring up is not something we're covering in the seminar? What then, right? Well, actually, you're in. That's a positive. So how you handle that is, right there and then on the phone, you can request a meeting. It can sound as simple as this. Well, I'm sorry, that's a great interest, a great topic that you bring up, but due to our time constraints, we're not going to be actually covering that at the seminar. Why don't I put some information together for you, and we can sit down over a cup of coffee, and I can walk you through that. What's your schedule like in the next couple of weeks?
Now, Kira did something here that I want to bring to your attention. I want you to really think about what she just said and how she said it. She was being intentional. She made a request to meet. She didn't drop hints or shy away from making her request by using a wishy-washy approach like, once you've had a chance to read it, I'll give you a shout to follow up. You all know the odds of reaching that person again by phone isn't in your favor, especially with call display that we have right now in our culture. We screen all calls. When she had them on the phone and she found out what they were interested in, she made the request. So let's look at that request again. We can sit down over a cup of coffee and I can walk you through it. What's your schedule like in the next couple of weeks? She simply took a breath and made the direct request. What's your schedule like in the next couple of weeks? Now, I want you all to be prepared. Here is what 8 seconds of silence on the phone sounds like or feels like. Feels more like 8 minutes, doesn't it? And I know a lot of my advisors get so uncomfortable with that silence, they giggle. And they can't make it past even the 3-second marks. So they feel compelled to fill the silence. This is really important. I want you to take specific note on this. I'm going to give you an incredibly important insight here. You must give them time to process your request. Here's what's probably going on for them in between their ears. He sounds nice. She doesn't sound too sleazy or slimy, but he might try to convince me to do something I don't want to do. There's some good information that I want, but I don't know. Give them time to process this. Do not interrupt the process, or you will be less likely to meet with them. The other thing that may be happening is that they're actually taking out their calendars to look at them. Let that silence lie. Now, I would never recommend that you let the silence lie for more. 7 seconds is a long time. And I'm not making reference to a very old sales tactic that the first person who speaks loses. I am not a fan of that belief at all. There's a difference between trying to play a game with your clients, who's going to win and lose, a chicken game, and giving them a moment to process your request. So touch point number 5 is where what you most likely all do, which is confirming their attendance 24 to 48 hours before. Now you've had 5 touches with each attendee in a structured format in a short period of time, speeding up the process of earning their trust and building long-term relationships. So one of my clients, the one I mentioned before, who sent out the old type of invitation, wrote me a testimonial, and he's been working with me for a number of years, and he's now tried on my system. He was reluctant at first. He said, you know, I've done it for many years my own way, and that's the way I'm always going to do it. Well, he produced 0 results. And when the next coach call that he had, he said, well, Willa, what is that system that you're using? I'd like to try that on. So he took it on wholeheartedly. He had a marketing assistant. He went out with the grabbers, and now he went out on vacation. He sent out those invitations when he was on vacation, came back to 5 registrations. His assistant followed the touch point strategy. They had 22 registrations, and he only had 20 seats. So he had a waiting list. Every single one of his attendees showed up, not one no-show. He actually then started to schedule seminars on a regular and consistent basis, and pretty well is going the same way. If he's not filling the seats, it's close enough that he's thrilled with the performance and with the results that he's getting. So what I'd like to do now is find out how comfortable everybody is at the front of the room. So I'm going to launch another poll. How comfortable are you at the front of the room? So first one is, I'd rather stick a pin in my eye. And I know some of you feel that way. Because here's the thing about public speaking. It's our biggest fear. So chances are it's bigger fear than actually death. So frankly, half of you would rather be in the coffin than delivering the eulogy. So the next one is, I'll do it if I have to. And then that last one is, I love it. Sign me up. When can I be at the front of the room again? So let me see. Ooh, 83% of you. I'll do it if you have to. And there's a small portion of you that love to do it. We need to talk to you. Kira and I need to talk to you and see if we can hire you, because that's rare that someone is that comfortable at the front of the room. So where do we go from here? The next element in turning seminars into assets is exactly that, selling from the front of the room, being effective at the front of the room. Not only your presentation skills, but equally as important, how to make meaningful offers from the front of the room that have your attendees inclined to take action.
Well, I've just got to jump in here too and share something personal, and that is because I am a coach and I have such a passion. I have such a passion for educating. I love it. It gives meaning to my life, you know, helping people get that light bulb moment over their head and whatnot. I mean, I am hardwired that way. So to not make that the full focus of when I do a presentation is really hard. It has taken me a while to figure out what that balance is between providing genuine value for people right there and then, even if they never work with you, and then making meaningful offers that set them up for a long-term mutually beneficial relationship. So I got to say, and I know from having worked with many advisors that, you know, your concern, or some of you have expressed, you know, I don't want to come off like any kind of a salesperson. I don't want to sell at all. I just want to give them, show them the importance of these strategies, and that will be enough. So one reason we put this work, this course together for you is that it's a bit of an art. It is, and you have to kind of fight through your own desire to provide quality, you know, genuine value in the content, as well as making those offers that really stick. So just know that you may be confronting those internal impulses yourself as you move forward into this, and we're here to help you with that.
And those offers are really the all-important element, and they have to be genuine, heartfelt, sincere offers, not a sales pitch. Something that you want to give of your time, your resources, your expertise to your. And there's 2 major principles that will give you the tools required to inspire your attendees to sign up right there and then. So we have a feedback form that's the best I've ever seen. The majority of feedback forms I've seen are not as effective as they could be. I've seen a lot of them where they're asking about the content, you know, was the content valuable, were the presentation skills good? That's all fine and dandy if I'm a full-time facilitator and I'm looking for feedback on my skill set. That is not going to generate a lead for you, and I'm all about sales and lead generation. So since we do have a couple of moments, I'm going to give you the things to ask on that feedback form. So get your pens and paper ready. Here it is. Why did you come? I'll give you a moment to write that down. Why did you come? What did you learn? And what did you find most valuable? Now you have a starting point for a conversation. They've just given you, handed you on a piece of paper the conversation that's most important to them, their biggest priority at the moment. You've got a place to start on your follow-up call. Why did you come? What did you learn? And of all the things that we discussed, what did you find most valuable? So then, you need to convert leads into clients. So there's a follow-up strategy that's been producing really great results for my clients. I love this slide as people come up and I'm thinking, so what did you think this acronym stood for? Just wanted to see if anyone was still awake. So this follow-up strategy drastically minimizes the catch me if you can game and brings prospects out of hiding. You know the game. Call next month. I'm busy. I have to talk to my spouse. Children, dogs, soccer, gotta run, and then they start avoiding you like the plague. They screen you. They never pick up the phones. Emails are going into cyberspace. We don't know what happened to them. So we will be sending this out to you in an email, along with some of the other resources at the end of our webinar.
So if you are considering using seminars as an effective way to grow your business, or if you're conducting them but you're not getting the results you deserve, we've created a three-week program in a live teleseminar format. So week 1, you're going to have the opportunity to create your own grabber. In week 2, you're going to get all the tools required to be effective at the front of the room, including how to make meaningful offers. There's a bit of a process in creating those offers effectively, and when our clients use it, many have been successful at booking appointments right during the seminar. And then in week 3, you're going to learn how to transition participants into clients. So we'll show you exactly how to follow up with attendees in a way that will maximize your appointments, and we'll give you that tool that Willa had mentioned to end the catch me if you can game once and for all.
So all of our classes are interactive, and we always encourage our participants to bring their own case studies to the calls so we can brainstorm different strategies that will be a good fit for your own unique style. This is not generic big picture strategies, but ones customized to your own style and your own specific situation. We want you to be able to walk away with tangible, actionable strategies that are a natural fit for you, leaving you with the attitude of, wow, this is easy, I can do that. One thing to know is that we do not support our advisors in creating content. You have to leave that up to compliance. Now, we promised you a couple of gifts that we're going to provide you, and I'll be emailing them out. Firstly, the ad for the Ideal Marketing Associate and the approved invitations. And if anyone didn't catch the follow-up format, wasn't able to capture it quick enough, send me an email and I'll get that out to you as well. So keep an eye on your inbox. We're going to be sending you these gifts in the next day or so. You'll also find registration information for our program on our website. And if you register for either of our programs within the next 48 hours, we'll be offering you a $50 discount. That's for saying thank you for coming to our webinar. The promo code, write this one down. The promo code is attendee, A-T-T-E-N-D-E-E. In case I made a typo with it, you have to do the same typo, 0428. Attendee 0428.
So thank you very much, everybody, for your generous listening today. And until we meet again, create a successful day.